Hey everyone, it's Isaya. Welcome, welcome. This is another episode of my podcast, Isaya's Inspiring Evenings. Welcome to that one. As you know, we talk about various subjects and various topics with various guests. Tonight, we are in a series that I love. The series is called The Broom, The Brush, and The Beyond. And it's a series about the intersection of art, spirituality, and it's about nature and mysticism, galactic origins, ancient traditions, paganism, forgotten rituals, mythology, you name it. As per usual, these conversations happen live and then are shared in my podcast and anywhere else the guest feels like sharing. And tonight, I am very, very excited to talk with Mare Cromwell. Hey, Mare, are you
Hi,
good?
hi. I'm good. I'm here. I'm thrilled that I'm here. And I'm wearing, get this t-shirt. I have to show it to everybody. It's from
Ooh,
Ireland. It's Newgrange or Bruna, and it's the goddess. It's the goddess with wild
awesome.
hair.
So, yeah, good for you to explain that because some people might just be listening to the audio. So, we have to remember to explain whatever we think we are showing.
Happy
So,
to help the audio
before we
folks.
go too deep into the topic, I want to introduce you, and the best way that I know of is to read your bio. So, people, this is serious. Let me concentrate. Mare Cromwell is the founder and director of the Great Mother Love Way nonprofit and lives in full surrender to Mother Gaia. As an internationally known Great Mother mystic and high priestess, visionary, healer, and award winning author, she is committed to birthing the new earth. Mare has studied with Native American elders for 26 years and channels various books. The first one being Messages from Mother, Earth Mother, and the Great Mother Bible is the second one. And she's currently working with Mother Gaia on another book called Gaia's Web of Love. Sorry. Mare also co-web weaves. Let me repeat that slowly so that you get that. Co-web weaves global grids of ceremonies, including the Thousand Goddesses Gathering, Water Love Day, which will be happening on the 25th of October 2025. So if you're listening to that in the future, it has already happened. But I know Mare, and there will be more ceremonies. So just connect with her and you will find what she's up to in the future. She's also organized or, co-web weaved. Sorry, oh, this is difficult for me. The Starbucks Siren Loving Up Day on September 21st, 2025, and the apology ceremonies to the original people and their ancestors on the 21st of March, 2023. She leads the Great Mother Love Way, which is a year-long course, and her long-distance healing practice is based out of Western North Carolina in the US. She is also a twice cancer conqueror. Well, you've got your full plate, right?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
putting it mildly, especially these days.
So many
Especially
things.
these
I love
days.
that.
It's a bit
So,
much. I looking forward to it calming down after October.
So, I usually don't do podcast episodes with that have a kind of a very specific date because the podcast is going to live there forever. But I thought the topic of the water is so crucial that it doesn't matter,
Mm.
even if the listeners are listening to that in the future. This is such a wide and to me, dear to my heart topic that I'm okay even if the event is past. Now, if it's not past, go and join. And before we go into too much talking, I want to remind everyone that you can find the links to everything that Mare is doing or planning. All the links will be in the podcast description, below the video, above the video, on the side of the video. I don't know where, but they will appear everywhere. So go and check her out because obviously there's a lot that she's part of or that she co-web weaves. I managed it this time.
Good. Right on, right on.
So, the title for today's episode is The Divine Feminine Weaving a Web of Global Water Healing. So, I'm really excited about this because we get to talk about water. And my first question immediately would be, why water? What's the water? What's the importance of water to your understanding?
Wow. Well, uh, first of all, no life on our earth could exist without water. Uh, and 70% of our bodies, human bodies, are made up of water. And we have lost the wisdom and the truth, I'll say truth, that water is sacred.
Mm-hmm,
And because we have lost that, we've also lost the truth that trees are sacred, that nature spirits
mm-hmm,
exist and they're sacred. I mean, we have gotten so far away from what is really happening on the planet and has for millions of years, and that is that everything on the planet is imbued with divine energy.
mm-hmm,
And sources from off planet. I have been having an interesting time, shall we say, putting it mildly, uh, tuning in and getting ready for a webinar that starts in 3 days called Water Speaks, exclamation point. And I'm leading this, co-leading this, not co-web weaving, but it is kind of co-web weaving. There's that word again. Uh, with an extraordinary friend of mine who's a Dutch nature spirit mystic. And uh, I have gotten in touch with the heart of water. I do a lot of baths and I do water ceremony in the bathtub every time I'm in the bath. I was in the bath this morning and yesterday morning, and it's been like going all the way back for
mm-hmm.
months and months, years, years. It's not every morning, but these days it's every morning because I need it for my own mental health and healing. So, water is critical. It's absolutely critical, and it's a mystery to us, most of us, all of us, I would say, if it comes down to really truly deeply understanding water. I mean, Masaru Emoto brought a lot of wisdom forward with his crystal photography of the frozen water
Mm-hmm,
drops and showed the significance of water responding to thoughts and words and music and water from a pristine spring compared to urban water. Uh, and water is a reflection. And that's a bad pun, but water reflects the energy of what we give it.
mm-hmm,
And these days, as I'm sure everyone is aware, we're dealing with a lot of chaos, a lot of intensity. And what better thing to do for the planet and for all life on the planet than to pour our love into the water all around the world. And that is the goal of the Thousand Goddesses Gathering Water Love Day. And one, I mean, I could keep you're welcome to interrupt me, but I could go on here. Um, but one, it's to heal the water because we have not been treating water right. We've been dumping all sorts of chemicals and compounds and plastics, et cetera, et cetera, et
mm-hmm.
cetera. And part
Yeah.
of that means phasing all these things out, true, but also there's research on the power of prayer. And Masaru Emoto gathered volunteers and they healed toxic ponds by praying into the water. Water
Mm-hmm,
responds to our hearts and it responds to really beautiful prayer and really good ceremony.
mm-hmm.
And
So,
so,
so
go
I'm
ahead.
going to interrupt right now just to make that clear. So, you are co-web weaving a global gathering that is called the Thousand Goddesses Gathering um, Water Day, right? So it's not
Yes.
just a goddess gathering, not simply, says she laughing, a goddess gathering, but it's specifically dedicated to the water, to working
Yes.
with the water.
Yes, and it's ceremonies all over the world. A lot of times people sign up for things and they think, oh, it's an online ceremony, it's one centralized person. It's like, no, this is all over the world. People are registering in New Zealand, in Australia. And I don't know all the locations right now because I have a volunteer putting the locations on the map. And the map is starting to get more and more filled. Last year we did Global Tree Love Day. And a really gifted friend of mine received a spiritual message after it was finished, that weekend was finished, that there was an uptick in the Earth's energy fields that weekend
Hmm.
because of us. co-creating a web of love with the trees. And
Hmm.
this time we're doing it with water.
Even more significant if that can be, because,
Yeah, and I want to
without the
share
trees, the
something.
water will still exist, but without the water, the trees wouldn't. Of
Well, true. And without the trees, we wouldn't exist, nor the water. So,
course.
it's all connected. Hello. But I want to share something really briefly that there's a creek at the bottom of our ridge, and I'm here in the foothills of the bigger mountains here in Western North Carolina. I'm very blessed to be here. And I've been spending a lot of time every day at the end of the afternoon going down to the creek and calming myself and grounding myself and just going, okay, we can do this. All this work that's on my plate, all the energies I'm feeling, because I'm super sensitive, um, we can do this. And so about 2 weeks ago, and I always do a little bit of water ceremony, even if it's just singing one song or blessing the water. Uh, 2 weeks ago, I heard, "Let the water love you back."
Oh, I
I
love
was like,
that.
yeah. And I went, oh my gosh. Because I do water ceremony just going on the highway. I'm like crossing a bridge over a river and I'm like, luminous love, heart of water. I'm like blessing water every time. I'm like, the rain coming from the sky, heart of water, luminous love. I mean, to me, we have the power to do this. We have the power to tap in and emanate love that heals all over.
Mm. But the idea that, water loves us back is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was blown
Um,
away. And then I talked to my Dutch friend who I'm doing this Water Speaks webinar with, and he goes, this is so interesting because a good friend of mine who does a lot of water ceremony said she heard the same thing a few days ago. I'm like, yeah, okay.
and what was the inspiration to do this event? I think it's the global gathering, the Thousand Goddesses. It's the ninth event that you're
The
doing, if
ninth
I'm not
one,
mistaken. And
yes.
how did you start? What was the
Oh,
inspiration?
yeah. For the first one. Well, I have surrendered 150% to serve Mother Gaia. I was diagnosed with lymphoma in late May of 2012, and I was freaking out, but I had already told an Algonquin medicine man I would meet him in early June because Gaia had requested the two of us meet to do a ceremony. And he had contacted me a month before and said, Gaia's asked us, would you like to do this? I'm like, of course, yes. Because I already knew at that time that my life was to serve Mother. But then, fast forward a few weeks after he contacted me about that question, I got the diagnosis, and I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out, I mean, and I think you've had cancer too, is that right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not fun.
Mhm.
Um,
No.
so
No, we all have a
yeah,
human part that freaks out. Then
yes, very much
for me, the
so.
the
And
main conversation is who drives the car when you got these kind of news. Is it the freaking out human or is it the high priestess, goddess, whatever, higher self that is driving the car and
I
making
love it.
decisions in life? Um,
I love it. Well, at that time, the high priestess was not even really in existence. It was the freaking out mare, and that's all Mare knew that she was. It's like, but what happened was, I knew I had to be at this ceremony, so I got in my car and I drove a number of miles north of where I was in Maryland and met this medicine man. And we did the ceremony in this beautiful, huge forest. And he said to me just as we were starting, he says, I'm going to be bringing Gaia's energy and conscious into your energy body, but I don't know how you're going to disconnect. And my immediate thought and response was, well, I'm not worried because I trust Mother and I know my life is to serve her. So right at the end of the ceremony, I heard this voice coming in that was very clearly not my thinking, my mind. And
mhm.
the voice said, if you surrender to me to the extent I will ask you to surrender, I will help you heal from the cancer without the doctors. And I
Wow.
was like, I'm there. I am so there. And of course, I'm like, yes. And then all these miraculous things start happening. Like my car went an extra 110 miles on full because Mother called me to the ocean, which was 3.5 hours away from where I was living at the time. And I did ceremony the whole time at the beach and in the hotel room. And she said, I want you to put this other book aside that you started, and I want you to write this one. And she gave me the title, Messages from Mother Earth Mother. She gave me all the chapter headings. And then she gave me the first full message, which is to us women two-legged, her children, beloved daughters. And that book was written in 5 weeks right after that, with her, of course, because it was just listening and writing.
Mm,
And it was freaking me out totally freaking me out. And in the meantime, I'm trying to find a primary care physician. I have this cancer diagnosis, and I went to one doctor's office who seemed on paper to be really good, like holistic. Well, I'm in her clinic room and she works on her computer taking notes, and the whole computer system in the office went down. It's like, and I looked at her and I said, "So does this happen very often?" She goes, "No, this never happens." And I went, "Oh." And I very clearly heard Mother say, "You're not working with this doctor." So I left that office. But anyway, go fast forward like a year and a half. I was completely clear of the cancer other than one slightly enlarged lymph node in my abdominal area. And the only reason that I knew that and my doctor knew it is I had a gallbladder attack because I was avoiding my doctor. He was trying to get me to come back and see him. I never saw an oncologist. I changed my diet. I was doing a lot of emotional work. There was like ceremonies that were happening spontaneously, unplanned. I was not in control. And if there's one thing I really learned in this journey, I'm not in control. I surrendered. Mother's got the steering wheel and the gas pedal. Actually, I'm going to ask her to lighten up a little on the gas pedal right now after this month.
And
Yeah.
so that's when the idea for the Thousand Goddesses gatherings started.
Well, what happened was that was 2012, and an incredible woman who you may know of, you probably do, she's the founder of Tree Sisters,
Yeah.
was Claire Dubois, and she was using this prophecy of when 1,000 goddesses or Tibetan tarots unite, it will shift the tone of our sacred earth from fear to compassion. And she was using it as an invitation to raise money when 1,000 women donate, when 10,000 women donate to help
Hmm.
replant the planet. Well, I read that on Facebook and it was like, joink, Mother said to me. For the longest time, I heard her on the left side of my head. And now I just hear her, period. She said, and you're going to organize that in the physical. And I'm like, what? I said, and you're going to help, right? And she goes, yes. So I thought, well, okay, we'll do a weekend event and it will be a goddess gathering that will be really huge and there'll be vendors and tickets and all that. And I thought, oh, great, it will pay for itself. It'll be wonderful and big, big, big. Well, oh no. Then the following summer, late July of 2016, Mother woke me up at 5, which is her way. And she said, this needs to happen in DC before the elections. I'm like, gulp. I said, okay. I got out of bed. I looked at the calendar. I said, what day, Mother? And she's like, the third Saturday in October 2016. I had 2.5 months to organize this high ceremony event on the Washington Mall. But we did it. It was really, it was kind of hanging on by the fingernails for a bit of that, some interesting characters that I thought were supposed to be part of it and not, and et cetera, et cetera. But we did it. And when we did it, get this. Some gifted light worker friends of mine were tuning in long distance, and then some were there in the person. And one of them contacted me afterwards, right that night. I was wiped. I was so wiped. She said, did you know that a massive conduit of white light came into the Washington Mall right in the middle of your ceremony? And it came from the great central sun, and it cleared all these dense energies from the center of DC, which included the White House, the Capitol building, like a 3-mile periphery, which included the Pentagon. I'm like, what? You know, I mean, people did feel it, even if they didn't know what they were feeling. Some people were ecstatic at the end of the event. Other people were crawling off the lawn trying to get to the metro to get home. It was a lot of energy. It was a whole lot of energy that came in. And the same thing happened in 2018, the second time we did it on the Washington Mall. And some people got that on videotape. I never saw the videotapes, but they told me they got this massive convoy of white light coming right in. So that's when I went, oh. Okay, Mother, I think I got why you wanted me to do this in Washington, D.C. and why you wouldn't allow me to move out west, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because, I thought I was going to move to Washington State. Oh, no, 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 you're not moving. You're staying in Maryland. That was at that time. So that's how the first one started and
Hmm.
happened. And so there was an Oshun high priestess who led the ceremony. The energy was high. We didn't have 1,000 women, but we invoked more than 1,000 goddesses. And And for those, and well, you probably can't do it right now anyway, but if you're planning to organize an event on Washington Mall, just know that it's a lot of hoops, bureaucratic stuff. But never mind that right now because the National Guard is running their trunks, whatever, their vehicles all over DC, and we're in a different picture right now. But then after the second one on the Washington Mall, then I got the clearance, thank goddess, God, you don't need to organize any more on the Washington Mall. Now it's evolving into a global grid. I'm like, thank you, because it's a lot of work. Um, so
So the
it
idea
has
of the
evolved.
grid, can you explain a little bit? Because it's clear for me, but it might not be clear for anyone listening.
Yes. Yeah. This is subtle activism. The grid is a grid of ceremonies that are all linked together energetically, spiritually. And we invite everyone who registers to do a ceremony wherever they are around the world to envision and really focus on linking your ceremony and the energies from it and the beautiful healing that's happening there with all the other ceremonies around the world. And they're all woven together, which is why I'm co-web weaving,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a unified field of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding, and Mother's saying yes to me right now, is this manifests, well, it manifests a lot more than what I know. And I have some incredible cosmic shaman friends who give me reports afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
We activate and we help to amplify Gaia's oneness grid, which is a field of energy around the planet that we humans are responsible for, keeping it more and more clear and focused and amplifying a oneness energetic. It ripples out into the universal realms because it's
Mm-hmm.
all connected. It goes to the core of Mother. I've been inviting with the support of some really gifted friends, including the one I'm doing this webinar with, the Water Speaks one, a couple years ago, the ogres wanted to be part of, no, 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 sorry, trolls. Now you go, what do trolls have to do with thousand goddesses? They're
Yeah.
very
Good
spiritual nature
question.
spirits. Yeah, they're very special nature spirits, just like the fairies and the pixies and the elves. A lot of people don't think of the trolls. The trolls have a drumming aspect to themselves. They love to drum. And so that particular grid, the invitation came out in your drumming for your ceremonies, call in the trolls to be with you. And this woman contacted me out of Australia afterwards. She goes, one of the men who was drumming in our ceremony is a professional drummer. And he experienced that he lost control of his hands. And the drum started drumming on its own with his hands, but he knew it wasn't him drumming. And the
Mm-hmm.
sound that came out of his drum was not what he had ever heard before. It was like a whole other level. So, the unicorns have joined in and blessed women in their womb hearts or womb spaces because we all carry trauma in our womb spaces. This is sort of characteristic, not sort of the Western woman
Mm-hmm.
dynamic and all the repression, et cetera, et cetera. We won't go there. We could, but that's not where I'm going right now. But so this year, as you mentioned, I organized because Mother gave me a few weeks to do it. The Starbucks Siren Loving Up Day. I shortened it to Siren Loving Up Day, but it's actually Siren Loving Up Launch Day because like the mermaid in the Starbucks logo is an actual mermaid goddess named Melusina. And I know in France it's Melusine, but I am American, so I say Melusina. You know about this
It's
because
all
you worked on
right.
that song. Thank you. And so this year, with the water focus, all the water nature spirits are gearing up. And they got activated already, the mermaids and the mermen and some of the other deities, Mananamic Lear, by what we did on September 21st as the
Mm-hmm.
launch of the Siren Loving Up Day, or launch day, because it's a long-term campaign. And it's all woven together. So this is a multi-dimensional, beautiful grid of divine feminine ceremonies linked in with the nature spirits to amplify the love and heal the waters and heal ourselves.
So the idea is just, let's put it in non-spiritual words, for yes, you can join. You can do your own
Yes.
participation. So please go to the links that you will find below or above the video or the audio. And make your own ceremony, register, and then when you perform, or I don't know how you don't say perform, when you do the ceremony, um,
That's fine.
think about the grid. Think that you're not alone just doing something with a glass of water in the
Yes.
middle of nowhere, or with a stream, or a bunch of, whatever you're doing. And you can do it alone, or you can do it with a group, obviously. But it's I think the power, or the potency of it is of the connection with the others, ceremonies at that
Yes.
moment, or on that day. And I think that, it for me it brings back the idea of the tipping point thing.
Mm,
So I don't know if you've heard that. I'm guessing you do.
yeah.
One of the persons who developed that was lately, because it's a very old theory, but is Jean Shinoda Bolen, who wrote The Millionth Circle. And her idea is that
Oh,
when there's going to be a million women's circle, that's when the tipping point for the feminine energy to come back to balance the earth energy. And she's actually
wow.
working on the idea of it's originally it's a scientific theory. It's about monkeys, very not very spiritual, or very down to earth thing. If
They may
you
disagree with
populate
you on that one, but go ahead.
no, I mean, if you take it, it's a scientific experiment, basically. You take 100 monkeys, you put them in some place, and you teach one monkey to do one thing differently, whatever, eat with his left hand instead of the right hand. And then he will teach more and more monkeys. And then there's a point. So it goes very slowly, just one monkey more, two monkeys, three monkeys. And there's a point almost overnight when the whole population will switch. And that's the tipping point. And it doesn't mean that you need half of the monkeys to have learned something for the other half to learn it. It can be 10, 20 monkeys out of 100. And it's the same idea with the women's circle. And I think it's the same idea, a part of with the grid. It's like we are aiming for the tipping point where
Yeah.
so much healing is almost creating more healing. Kind of, it's
Yes.
kind of
It's a
a
catalyst.
snowball effect.
Yeah.
Catalyst, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. And I want to add that on the website, 1000goddesses.net, and then it's a number, and I know you say it's going to be in and around and above and whatever for all the places this interview will be posted, but there are ceremonial suggestions for people who are total newbies.
Mm,
And
I love
and
that.
a main part of that is actually a step-by-step set of steps, which are so easy, which are based on Masaru Emoto's healing of the
Mm,
toxic ponds in Japan and the prayer that they did that was so powerful. And I will add that in that prayer, and also what I stress is calling on our spirit teams. Now, if you don't do ceremony and you don't even know who your spirit teams are, you have them. And even if they're a large group of ancestors or a small group of ancestors and your guardian angel, whatever you call, or you don't call, we all have spirit teams. And when we call on our teams, a lot more love comes in and it
mm,
heals us and it heals what we're doing. So I'm like, call on the teams. It's not just you and your heart. Your heart's wonderful. Our hearts are more
mm.
powerful than we realize. And there's a lot of research from the, Heart Math Institute about that and other researchers. However, call on your spirit teams and open your heart. Ground yourself to Mother Gaia's heart, which is really key
Mm.
because it helps her and helps you be more grounded and amplifies what you're doing. And just pour that love into the water.
Yeah, so that's how you can be involved. Anyone can be involved.
Yes.
And you don't need to be the priestess or a priest, or, have the specific qualifications. You just have to be interested in being involved. And I really love that the page helps newbies to, kind
Yes.
of
Yeah.
find their way into, because, ceremony can be, big word and kind of impressive, but it's
And
not. It's
scary.
not. You can make it not scary. Make it about participation, not about um, grandiose effect, or
Right.
proving that you are or you are not important. You are. If you want to participate, you are important.
And even if you
promotion.
don't participate, you're important too. But yeah, this is, I mean, everybody relies on water.
Yeah. Mm,
And I mean, you could for 5 minutes on the 25th just hold a glass of water and just go, I love you. From my heart, I love you. I'm calling on my ancestors and my our guardian angel. And we're all pouring love into you, and all the waters of the world are one. So even though it's maybe contained in this one glass, water has a conscience and it knows what you're doing
mm.
and it immediately responds elsewhere around the planet. And before we finish, can I actually do
Oh, we're
something?
not finished.
Because
I have a couple of more questions, but you
oh,
can
okay,
say
then
anything.
please. No, no, go.
No, no, go on.
Well, again, I do a lot of water ceremony in the bathtub. I have a sacred water collection from over 300 sites now from around the planet. It's like, phew, it's fun. I pour the water in the bath. I do my prayers, call in the spirit teams. And so knowing that this Water Speaks webinar was coming up in early October, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was lying in the bathtub because I am a mystic. The trees talk to me, the flowers, everything. Mother Gaia, it's a lot. There's a lot of talking, a lot of listening on my part. But I wanted to reach out to the consciousness of water. I'm like, I want to connect with the consciousness of water, see if I can get a message or a link. And what came in was I heard the words heart of water. And I was like, and the energy that came in was so beautiful. And I would like to, in this moment, in the middle of this interview, if you're okay with this, call on the heart of water
Absolutely.
because everyone needs to know about this because it's healing for us and it's healing for everything around us. So here we go. Speaking of water, let me have a sip. Oh, I am that I am, calling on the heart of water to please bless Isaiah and myself and all who are listening to this interview. Touch us, help us feel your vibration. Come into all of our cells, our bones, our tissues, our sinew, our blood. Help bring healing energies into us for our highest good, for divine plan alignment, and for the waters of the world and Mother Gaia. Aho.
So mote it be.
What was that?
So mote it be. That's my finishing for ceremonies. Comes from the pagans and the Celtic pagan ceremony style.
Oh, what is it? Somo
So
Tippy?
mote it be.
Oh, so moted be. Ah, yeah, yeah, of
Mm.
course, of course. I mean, I've studied with Native American teachers, so they didn't use those terms. But did you feel that? I'm sure you felt
Other
it.
side of the pond. Of course I did. Of course I did.
I'd love to know what you
Uh,
felt.
love,
Mm, yeah, yeah,
kind of liquid love, obviously.
yes. Which is what Mother Gaia told me, that water is liquid love back this winter. I'm like, wow. I mean, imagine if
Yeah.
we treated water like liquid love. That in
Well,
itself would.
actually, this is really interesting because, and maybe there's a big difference between both sides of the Atlantic on this one. Because I'm from Greece, and in Greece, water is sacred for
Mm.
everyone. When you enter a restaurant, even today in 2025, with the instant you will sit down, they will bring you a glass of water. If you go into a house, into somebody's home, the instant they say, come on, sit down, before they, if you're there for a meal or whatever, they will first bring you a glass of water. They don't ask you if you want it, it's there. Because in Greece, traditionally, it's a very dry country. So water is precious and it's a gift of generosity to give water. We have been taught as Greeks to turn off the taps, to not, waste water. And then there's the sea water, which is all around the country. So it's like for Greeks, and to an extent for most Europeans of the south, part of Europe, water is on a daily basis, even for people who are not mystics, who are not hearing messages from anything, who are very down to earth, or have some very religious faith. My grandmother was a fanatic of water, although she was a very, very Christian person, and she, if you told her there's a heart of water, she would have laughed. But at the same time, laughed or been offended. But at the same time, she had this huge respect for water, really
Mm,
respect. And just to
mm.
balance that, and I know it's your interview, but I think it's going to
No,
make it
please.
bring some perspective. When I was in the US the last time, something like 10 years ago, I was traveling with my kids and my husband, and we arrived at a hotel the first night. And so we are at the reception. They are giving us their our keys, blah, blah, blah. And I just, very naively say, "Oh, is the water drinkable? Is the tap water, is it drinkable?" And I stare at this very young woman behind the desk at the reception who literally said, "I have no idea. I don't drink water." And I was like, "Sorry, what?" I couldn't fathom it. It was like, "Sorry, what do you mean you don't drink water?" It's like, for me, it was like incredible, you know.
Wow.
So, because in Europe, basically, we all drink tap water, everyone. It's drinkable everywhere, or at least in most parts of Europe, and we are educated to just drink that. People now in the late, in the, no, sorry, in the, ever since something like 10 years, or people have started drinking from bottles, and
Yeah.
mineral water. But before
Yeah.
that, nothing of the
Yeah.
sort. So I think
Yeah.
this, it's very different what we are taught. I remember being in India, where you're not supposed to drink the water because it's dangerous, it's toxic, it's
Yes.
not
There's
safe.
that.
Um, and it was, for me, it was painful not to drink water for 3 months. It was literally
Other than
painful.
bottled water.
We didn't have the means at the time. I was very young. My
Oh,
parents were
okay.
hippies. So we drank stupid sodas that are full of sugar, and basically,
Right.
and it was really hot. But for me, it was like really painful. I like water. I've been trained and educated to like drinking water, not out of a spiritual thing, out of a very, you know, day-to-day
Yeah.
mundane thing.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that we need to go back to that, you
Well,
know.
I agree with you 100%. And it is different over here in the United States. We don't have the reverence and respect for water that I'm hearing you describe that you grew up with in Greece with your family. And it's sad. It's really sad the extent to which
Yeah,
the water is so
but
desecrated.
it's not a one-way street. We can find our way back to
Yes.
that as well. And I'm so excited because what you're co-web weaving, I did it again,
Very good.
is exactly in the good direction of, reconnecting with things that are so obvious, and that we as a species now, outside of the differences between Americans and Europeans, as a species, we have forgotten, or
Yes.
we have believed, and that's my really angry self talking. We have believed that we're superior to. We don't need the water, right? We can have Coke. We have, very expensive and posh drinks. We don't need the water. And I'm like, sorry, what?
Yeah. Yeah, we've gotten too far from the wiser ways, shall we say, the
Yeah.
reverential ways, the fascinating though. I have to get to Greece sometime.
When
I haven't
uh,
been
when
there.
we were preparing this show, you mentioned a Tibetan prophecy. Can you tell
Yes.
me more about that? I
This
love
is
a pro
what,
I love a prophecy for you.
yeah, yeah, for real. This is the prophecy is when 1,000 goddesses or Tibetan Taras unite, it will shift the tone of our sacred earth from fear to compassion. Now, this is what I read from Claire Dubois of Tree Sisters in 2015,
Mm,
God, 10 years ago now. And I have researched and had volunteers research high and low. Where does this prophecy come from? Where is it written? And there was one reference to it on one woman's website who never responded to our requests for information. However, I have worked with prophecy holders, some of the Native American elders I've worked with. I
mhm.
have one elder whose spiritual role in this lifetime was to gather the prophecy holders from different indigenous tribes.
I love that.
And he stressed to me, yeah, he stressed to me that the prophecies are not written down.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
they're evolving. They're not, and they're not set in stone either. There's a whole other conversation there.
Hmm.
But when I learned from him about how most prophecies are not written down, and here's this Tibetan one, all I know is that mother's like this needs to happen.
Mm,
And to find it on anyone's website was a huge like excitement. Like,
yeah.
okay, someone else is talking about this, even if she's not
Hmm.
responding to us with our request for information. Uh, so that's where it came from. And I stand by it on that level.
Mm, I love that. I really love that. And then there's also what I love about a prophecy is that it's open to a certain level of interpretation. What is a thousand goddesses? Is it human beings like us becoming the goddess? Or is it actually invoking the thousand goddesses? Or is it about a gathering of thousand humans? And you can have all of that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
or you can
And
be
if
alone
you,
in your kitchen with a glass of water and still participate in the event, which I really
well,
love.
yeah, and I will say this, that in the ceremonial suggestions page on the website about the global grid, there is a list you can download of 1,000 goddesses. So even if you're
Ooh.
by yourself with a glass of water, you can read that list and go, I'm calling on Isis, I'm calling on Aphrodite, and just go all the way through the list, and you'll probably be exhausted by the end, but you'll feel really good because those goddesses will come in and they will love you up.
One of my teachers was at some point sending energy to a lot of people. And she started by reading the names. And it was really exhausting, obviously. And so after, because the first time she did, there was 100 people, and then there was 200, 300, blah, blah, blah. When she reached something like 1,000, she said, I can't be doing that every month. So she wrote them down, she printed them, and she sat on them.
Do what?
She was literally sitting on the pieces of paper.
Oh, sat on them. I thought you
So
said
that's another
sucked
way
on
to.
them. I'm like, what? She
No,
put the piece of paper in her mouth and like sucked
no,
on
no,
it.
no, no, no. Just sat on
That's a
them.
good way to
So, kind of,
osmose the names.
yeah, that's a complicated one. You can just sit on them or put them in your bra, put the pieces of paper in your bra, and connect as well to get
Oh
less
my
tired.
gosh. I'll have to think about that idea. I don't know
I
about
think
my
the
bra.
idea for me, definitely the thing that I want to emphasize is because when I first met you, I found you very impressive, as in almost frightening, because you have this huge connection to the goddess, to Mother Gaia, to so many things and people that I can't see and touch. And I want to emphasize for anyone listening that being a mystic is a choice and that it doesn't need to be complicated or expensive, or you don't need 25 other adepts, and you don't need to be, dancing naked under the moonlight or whatever. Um, the desire to connect with nature is enough.
Yes. Yes. And you're giving me good feedback because I think I intimidate a lot more people than I realize.
I'm not really intimidated by anyone these days, but that's
I
because
wouldn't
I
think so, but other people can be more easily intimidated.
no, but I think, I remember a time in my life when I thought, oh, but I can't do a ceremony. This is not for me. I'm not a
Mm,
priestess. I'm not a guru. I'm not. And it's really about once and for all deciding that if we're going to be changing the things, mostly when we're talking about water, we're all concerned and we're all
yes.
important. And we don't need to wait on somebody else to intercede between me and nature. I can have a
No.
direct communication.
And we all have hearts, and
Yep.
we all have the capacity to love on whatever level we can love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is so much water to be loved all over the planet.
Yeah, and it's all connected. That's the thing, is
Yeah.
that we don't need to be out in the depths of the Atlantic saying, I'm going to go put my scuba diving gear on and do ceremony here. Because if you do it on the shore or on
Mhm.
a tributary that flows, it's all connected.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. I
yeah.
really love that. So, if you want to participate, find the link below the video or in the show description and click on it. Register your ceremony so that it appears on a wonderful map that I've checked yesterday, I think. And there's already so many. So I think it's like, it's magic to be part of that. You know, it feels
Yes,
like we're doing something, we're weaving, we're
we
web
are.
weaving together with you.
There's
And I
that
love
word
that.
again.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
and
know,
if I may, I'd add, and I know we need to wrap this up, is that even if you catch this interview after October 25th, you're still, any love you give to the water will be in the healing field that
yeah,
was activated, that
absolutely.
has been activated by other water ceremonies. It's an ongoing love fest, and
Yeah.
we need it. Mother Gaia needs it. It's a love fest.
Yeah, and as we were saying previously, water does love us back, so we need
I
it as
know.
well.
I know. That blew me away that day.
Thank you so much for coming to talk with me. Top secret information that you don't even know about. You might be coming again because I love this conversation. So
Oh,
people,
fun.
stay put. We might talk with Mare again. Um, I don't know what or what about or when, but we might. You know, you do know if you've been listening to this podcast that I do have series with some recurring guests, and I feel like Mare might be one of those. So stay
Oh,
put.
I'm getting excited.
In the meantime, you can also join the Water Love Siren thingy that is an ongoing. So even if you're listening to after October 25 to 2025, you can still find ways to
Yes.
interact with the water and give and share the love and the love for Melusina.
The
So yeah,
siren of Starbucks.
thanks so much again for coming, Mare. Thank you, the
Enjoy.
people who have been listening to us. And I will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.